Where are all the pro-Second Amendment folks at with all this government tyranny going on? The Second Amendment doesn't have anything to do with government tyranny in that sense. This is your White History Minute. Here's the truth about the Second Amendment. It was never about defending themselves from the government's troops. It was about defending themselves from the government's budget priorities. Before we had a country, we had colonies, and each of the colonies had their own militia, and the militias joined together to form the Continental Army. Now, they were a little bit nervous about having a standing army, and they were a little bit nervous about the allocation of troops to that standing army. States did not want to give up their militias, and that's why the Second Amendment starts with a well-regulated militia. What they were afraid of is that their slaves would revolt, and that Congress would have allocated the troops and money to other priorities because they didn't think that people in their colony were important. So they wrote it into the Constitution that that right would not be abridged, and they would maintain control of their troops to keep control of their slaves. It was pretty much unthinkable in colonial America that individual citizens would not have guns. They were just a tool as necessary for daily survival as a horse or a hammer. That wasn't bearing arms. That was just survival with a tool. Another important note to make here is that the Posse Comitatus Act allows troops to be deployed if citizens' rights are being deprived. Now, does that include the right of immigration and customs enforcement to deport people? Right now, the federal government is using federalized military troops to suppress protests and dissent. I say that we should call upon the governors of these several states and more to proactively mobilize their guard in order to protect the protesters from ICE. And if governors have already acted to protect the rights of their citizens, then the federal government will have no argument to say that they need to do it for them and deploy those troops against the citizens. Please deploy the troops, governors, to protect your citizens.